need to wait a moment because you've got predictions to make, John. 4 predictions to make. Please go ahead.
First barracks kill, it's Lilgun, especially with that draft. Team with the most kills at the game, and it's a toughie. In as much as I believe in Army Geniuses, I'd probably say Lilgun. When will first blood happen? With this kind of lineup, with these two teams, I'd expect it within the first minute. But 0 to 3, total number of player deaths by 10 minutes. This could be a 16 plus. 11 to 15 is the safe bet. There you go.
Okay, thank you for that, Jonathan. We'll go with those numbers. Uh-oh, a duel has been set here between DB and 423. There you go. This might be the first time we've seen that so far. I don't think any other players have accepted a duel together, so at least when we've been casting. So there you go. A duel has been set between the two. We'll see which one does die first. And here we go. The old chatter started. Barish getting into the mental warfare already against Lilgun. And you know what he means by that. 2022 is still the same drafting style here from Lilgun. I mean, if the Twitch chat can tell you what they're going to draft, if we can tell you what they're going to draft, then I think Barish has a point.
Yeah, I mean, well, if it works, why fix it, right? Like, this is something that they've been running for a long time, and it always catches teams off guard. So we'll see if AG is actually ready for it. A little bit of poking onto Norman. They do trade 2 for 2. Still being aggressive, though.
That's going to be a lot of damage on Kishka. Splitter, it's going to fly out. First blood might already be here, though. He'll go for the siphon, but the chase is on. Kishka, can he make it? No, he cannot. Oh, DB. He's going to be able to pick up first blood on the Leshrac, and that's the best possible start you could have asked for the side of Army Geniuses. And John, the best possible start for the viewers because you did predict first blood between 0 to 3 minutes. Congratulations.
I did say within the first minute there as well. So, you know,
you did.
Because just how crazy these teams are. Very nice kill for DB to find. Does accelerate his farm safely and Void. Still taking a look at that mid lane here. 4-2-3 once more on that Broodmother that he so loves to play. He does not have access to small camp. This is one thing as well. Brood not going to have that easy camp to go in and out of.
Look at this. How aggressive Rish is being on the gyrocopter already. You love to see it. And a gyro, one of those heroes, John, that tends to be very, very aggressive as a support as well, right? Because you get points in that rocket barrage. And once you've got like level 2 rocket barrage, the damage output gets kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, you can just kind of gun down any of these heroes. Kishka will be a harder target down the line once he's got levels up in Siphon. But early on, you can just melt him. Even 11 is not going to be very safe here. Has to go for the level 1 Dragon Blood to kind of just hold the lane because of the output of Gyrocopter Lesh. I love this dual lane coming out from Army Geniuses. Just so much aggression, so much magic damage down the line. If Varish can get extra gold, like you get the build up for your Rocket Barrage, you maybe get that shard up. You have a lot of presence out with this hero with very minimal farm. And DB can just kind of focus in, be a little bit tankier, and just apply that damage as well.
Yeah, apologies to the observer, by the way. We'll have a look at the other lanes as well. Of course, top lane, AG. And I have Wommy there on that signature Timbersaw. We've seen this so many times from the man. Going to be there with Ace 12 on the Skywrath Mage against Narman's position 4 or position 5 Void. We don't know yet. Of course, Sanctity's going to be there on the POS 1 Tiny. Should be the POS 4 for you, John. We know what it is. How do you feel about this laning stage?
It's a little bit awkward. Wami does have pretty good presence out, although there is a lot of magic damage that can come out here with Ace 12 and Sanctity. If he does get value points in the Avalanche Toss, you can kind of melt Wami before Reactive really builds up, and Reactive does feel a little bit strange right now with how many stacks you need to build up. So you have some good counteraction here from Lilgun. Narman's presence, I mean, he's just been running up and trying to bash someone. Like, he is literally just going up, trying to bash, and if he gets hit, he just time walks away and waits for it to go off cooldown and comes in again. It's not the most disruptive, mind you. This is still giving a lot of space out to Lilgun. So I'm wondering what else can Narman do. Like, maybe once he has that value point in time dilation, you can really bully out the sky. Until then, you're just kind of poking around here.
Yeah. For now, he's going to be just fine anyway. I mean, Narman... I kind of wonder what the idea with this POS 4 Void is, right? Like, what do you really abuse? Like, is time dilation going to be, like, hyper good value here in this game, do you think? Like, it feels nice against the Skywrath, the DP, I suppose, as well. Are they just doing it for Chrono? I really do wonder what the point of this POS 4 Void was. Like, maybe the Shards build-up allows you great scouting capability as Narman is going to find the courier.
has been killed.
That's a pickup there against Ace 12. What are you thinking, John? Like, where does the value lie in this Void pickup?
I mean, you've got a Gyrocopter, you've got a Storm, you've got a Timbersaw, you've got Lesh. There's a lot of damage to toss into the Chrono. They've really drafted around that well, and they've ensured that the Void isn't the one to do the damage in the Chrono. So I think that's where a lot of the value lies. It's also going to force a choice out from Lilgun, whether or not you want to prioritize that pause for first, would say the silence out, because of that constant threat of Chrono from the support. So it makes it a little bit harder to focus the multiple heroes down, because Azura is someone you'd want to pin down with the Ancient Seal as well, but you might have to use it on the Void first, providing Azura an angle in, and that just makes it easier for the Storm, and because it's support Void, you really don't care. But if you ignore the Void, Chrono's still there, and suddenly you're in a lot of trouble anyway.
Has been killed.
Let's have a look at that last lane we haven't looked at yet. Of course, mid lane Azura against 4-2-3. The one we haven't talked about yet, because we have looked at it multiple times, but we haven't mentioned a word about it. The Storm vs Brood matchup for now is favoring Azura, as you'd kind of expect up until the level 6 mark for 4-2-3. Should be Storm favored. So you will see 4-2-3 trying to abuse the insatiable hunger to give himself a reset as bottom lane. Varish getting aggressive, and well, he might have something, but Kishka does have the stick charges. He's going to be just fine. They even found Narman on the Void top side.
They're building up, they're starting to punish a little bit. It's very hard for you to trade up against that DP. And level 2 Spirit Siphon, she's just going to out-heal and just get whatever she wants in that lane. And they kind of missed stun up as well. Like, DB was a little bit too far for the follow-through. So you're pretty damn happy on Lilgun just to find those 2 kills. The cores are still farming up. I think AG can take solace in that. Like, they're having a really good lane for DB, really good lane for Azura. Even Wami's not completely shut down in his lane, which we've seen a couple of times on the Timbersaw when it does come out. Sometimes Wami just doesn't have a good game from the laning phase. Right now, he's having a decent time. So, despite losing your supports, the cores aren't really being stopped, and Azura's just kind of dominating mid. Like, this is where it goes back to that point about Broodmother. You don't have the small camps. You can't easily dip in and out of that to kind of build up farm. You do have the Spiderlings up now for 4-2-3, but he has to walk further away, into the top jungle, into the triangle, to find some camps to really build up. He could try to invade the Radiant large camp. That does feel like that's something AG's ready to defend quite nicely, knowing how Lilgun plays here.
Yeah. Now Narman shows up mid lane, 4-2-3, wondering why he's here, as they are going to move in with the silence. Narman's gone. Narman, not going to be too happy about that one, I don't think. Ace 12 with a very nice rotation, having the Ancient Seal available, and the big weakness of the Void John. You silence him up, and he's not really going to be able to do too much.
Yep, gets controlled really easily. They didn't have vision to watch that rotation out from the side of Lilgun. Love what Ace 12 does, just matches that movement. They get the bottle top up for Azura.
Ace under vision. Ace 12 getting very, very low. We'll go for the silence on Azura, but it's not going to matter. He will drop. Narman actually takes the kill for himself on the Void. Pings out from Narman. That's interesting. Didn't want to give it to Azura, apparently.
Yeah, you take your support tax, you are a support Void. So you kind of want a little bit more there. Azura probably doesn't mind too much. He shoves away. The Skywrath Mage gets a little bit more space. But he doesn't quite have enough to clear out the Spiderling army.
Oh, they're onto the DK now. 11. He is going to melt to the damage of DB and Varish. It's the thing with the Dragon Knight. Against this much magical damage from the Leshrac Gyrocopter, you are just going to melt if you do get caught. Meanwhile, top lane Wami going to move in Sanctity. He's in big trouble. Narman does get a bash in the end, and Narman does take another kill for himself on the Void, as Kishka is going to try to rotate, chase down the Timbersaw, but Wami, he's a tanky boy. Still melting slowly but surely. Kishka has the Crypt Swarm up, but it's not going to be anywhere near enough damage. So Wami's going to be just fine to back his way out. And AG, they're doing a fantastic job of getting these kills across the map.
They're starting to find that momentum now. They've gotten the room out for Wami to get pretty damn big. They need to find a way to stop 4-2-3 though. Like, he has managed to catch up with the Spiderlings up. There's really not much Azura is doing with his AoE damage. And that is an issue to watch out for, because again, Lilgun plays around the tempo of 4-2-3 very nicely. He's going to build straight into the Orchid to provide an additional silence for the Storm or the Face's Void, and that's going to cause massive issues. Azura's going to need something defensive, and we don't tend to see that too often from Storms early on.
4-2-3. Experienced Wami now TPing in, just ready to defend that mid lane, seeing the Spiderlings are available for 4-2-3. So the rotation down towards the bottom side of the map is going to be there from our Broodmother. You never want to have to lane against the Timber if you can avoid it, that's for sure. And it seems like for now, he's just going to try and secure the Radiant jungle. But I imagine eventually he is going to start moving into that bottom tier 1 tower and trying to melt that down. Question is, do AG bother defending, or do they just go for a trade up top lane instead?
I think he just tried to trade. Sanctity's all alone here as well.
He is, DB, going to move in. Splitter's actually going to land for free. Sanctity will be slowed up by the time dilation, and help is incoming. Narman looking for a bash. Sanctity, he's going to try to run, but is going to drop. A massive pickoff once again for the side of AG.
Finding some big kills. The side of Lilgun. I mean, they find that bot tier 1. They do have really good push for this lineup, but they aren't quite ready for these big fights. It does feel like, again, with this kind of lineup, you need the blink up in 11. So they're going to have to wait for that before initiation becomes a smooth process for them. And they can trade pretty nice here in AG. Max Diabolic the Edict here for DB, along with just a split hurt. So no value points in the Lightning Storm, just looking in for that damage, that rush on the push, and that isolation on enemy heroes, which happens pretty easily for the side of Army Genesis.
Oh, mid lane, they've got that silence up now. At least on Ace 12, Wami still going to be just fine though. He's got that Hood of Defiance up, so he is perfectly safe. Ace 12 and 4-2-3 just going to have to back their way out. They just don't have the damage output for the Timber. And it's really hard with the Spiderlings because you're just giving free reactive armor stacks.
No,
As now the Chrono, they found the tiny Narman. He's caught the left track though. Uh-oh, Narman, he's gonna die as well. Oh boy. We've all had that experience in our pubs, haven't we, John, playing Faceless Void? And there's always a Skywrath against you when that happens, it feels like. Always.
Yeah, it's a tough game for Narman to kind of line up. Like, some of these angles for the Chrono are very, very, very close. Danger close to your allies. And that's the one key thing. With the support Void, you have to ensure your allies aren't caught in that. If he had managed to keep DB outside, they might have had enough damage and follow through, clear out the Tiny, bail out.
11. Let's get caught out. Cooldown was there. 11 again. Suffering due to all the magic damage that AG do have. So they will rotate to try and find us another kill. Varish, oh, he's going to be fine. Quick TP away. Quick thinking here from Varish, realizing there's no stuns on the side of Lilgun apart from the DK and the Tiny.
Yeah, they're very reliant on just those two heroes, and that's why the blink on 11 is so key. That's what they have to play around. And that's their biggest initiation. Maybe if Sanctity opts for a blink as well, but you don't tend to see that from the pause 1 Tinies. So likely not something to come out to help the cause. A little bit of a smoke out here from Army Geniuses now. Varish and Azure again working together here.
Yeah, here we go. Kishka. Jump in. Easiest kill of their lives. Kishka, he'll try to heal up a little bit, but cannot survive. Only level 2 Spirit Siphon. Not going to do enough healing quite yet for the DP. So AG still in the lead in terms of kills. Doing a fantastic job so far. My main concern is what happens when Lilgun have BKBs up. I feel like that's when things start to get very scary if you're AG.
BKB timings for Lilgun are big, but you could argue the same thing here for Army Geniuses. If you have something to protect against the silence combinations of Lilgun, against the instantaneous stun from that DK, if you can BKB right in time, then it also cuts off Lilgun. And they're still a ways off from those BKBs anyway. They need the blinks up first, they need a Shadow Blade up on Sanctity. These defensive items are going to take maybe 5 to 10 more minutes until we start to see that build up, and that's around the same time where AG could consider the same sort of build up as well. So I think Lilgun just has to kind of stall the game, which isn't ideal when you have the Broodmother, although they are smoking up here.
Yeah, down towards the south they go. Narman, he's going to be around, but Chrono is up. This could be a bit of a scarier team fight to take. Narman, oh, we use the Time Walk. They've got the silence, and with the Spiderlings, he is melting, but they'll try to zone them out. DB, he'll take all the Spiderlings for himself, and they do protect the life of Narman. In fact, he has a salve anyway. So he'll be just fine. AG, want to protect that Void. Chrono was available once again, so you'd like to expend it if you can in these team fights. For now, though, Lilgun, they back off. Army Geniuses will do the same. And Lilgun, they will hold a very slight net worth lead their way.
They're working the map well enough. They're getting the build-up they want on 43, 11, and Sanctity. Very equal farm from everyone here, basically. I think, again, the key timing is this blink. You are within 7 gold for 11, so it's basically up. You can kind of play with a smoke now, try to get that Dragon Tail Mystic Flare combination, melt down a hero fast. You don't really have many saves here on Army Geniuses. In fact, you don't have a save at all. So you should be able to find a nice kill for yourself very quickly with that blink up and running. Still, Azura grabs a regen rune. They might be able to play aggressive off the back of it. And I think the one issue for AG is that Lilgun are just kind of allowed to invade the spot jungle. They have so much rain here with 423's presence. They've got to put a dent in it. Once this Orchid's up on 423 with that blink on 11, I mean, their aggression just kicks in and they can just look for the kills non-stop.
Well, the Orchid is on the way now for 423, so we'll see if they can try to make this work. There is going to be a 4-man smoke behind the Broodmother. In fact, never mind, they go right ahead. Down towards the south, towards the bottom lane. Narman is going to be able to break the smoke in a quick time walk away. He might die for this, but he'll be okay with that. He does protect his own Storm. There's now mid lane, they're onto the Timber. That's a much bigger target to try and give away here as Wami. Can he get his way out? Chains are there. He'll try to walk the old-fashioned way, but they have so much control. And now into the mid-tier 1 they go. Lilgun, finding what they wanted.
They make it work. They find 2 nice pickoffs. Not so big on Narman, but they get a good blink reveal, a good Orchid reveal out from their 2 big cores, and this is when the tempo kicks in. This is where Lilgun just has to keep running forward, has to keep taking these fights and objectives. The side of Army Geniuses might need a little bit more built up. Like we are seeing Azura just go straight for a BKB here.
Big pick up top lane if they can find it. John 11, he's on the chase, but they don't have a nice way of breaking the gap here with this Tiny. So the Tiny just TP down bottom and rejoin with his team as the rest of Lilgun just controlling the whole of the Radiant side jungle. One of the strengths about the Broodmother, right? Like, you just control a whole side of the map on your own, basically. This bottom lane, Kishka is there with Sanctity. Never mind that, though. Towards the left side, they found the Gyrocopter. He will die to the Orchid. 423, able to take another kill for himself. And hell, he might even find a double damage rune for himself in a moment.
They just catch him off guard. There is some good vision here from the side of Lilgun that AG has not quite counteracted. They haven't been able to drop sentries, although they have pretty decent sentry coverage here. It just misses out on the obs ward. And again, this is when Lilgun's just really strong. Like 423 is online, Orchid's up, going for the Ags next, more area denial coming out from the Broodmother, and they're just trying to avoid, but their jungle's taken away. We haven't seen that much presence out from Narman just yet, although Chrono's still ready here.
It certainly is, but they're going to make the jump in. So many silences out onto the Void. He is just gone. Still, the chase is on. Avalanche is going to be nice. Sanctity locking a couple down. Call down committed. They'll at least find 11 as the buyback was there from Narman. He wants to rejoin the team fight. Chasing for the Chrono. 423's fine. Silence is there. Kishka. He's going to tank the gank for his Broodmother. Would you call that buyback worth it? They only find a support DP.
No, not quite. It does force a retreat from Lilgun, so you don't lose out on a tier 2, and they're instantly going to smoke. Maybe try to make it worthwhile now.
If they can find the Brood, it'll feel much more worthwhile for Narman. He's still got that Chrono up. Wants to be able to use it. That's why he committed that buyback. They'll go towards that dire triangle, but it's only going to be for warding. And it was spotted anyway by the Observer Ward of Lilgun anyway, so that's going to get de-warded rather quick. And instead, they're going to have to head into the mid-tier 1 tower, try to abuse the fact that you have Chrono, and Lilgun probably won't want to fight, so you might be able to find a free mid-tier 1. Problem is, Lilgun, they already found the opposing mid-tier 1, so they won't mind this, I don't think.
Yeah, still grouping up though.
They are. They'll jump in onto the Lesh. Mystic Fear was there. Chrono committed, but it's only onto the supports, and there's no backup. Nobody's there to back him up in that Chrono. They're even going to find Wami now on the Timber. Lilgun. I said they wouldn't want to defend, John, but if they're going to defend that easily, why the hell not?
Yeah, they still have really good angles. Like they were waiting for item timings, but they're not tied into cooldowns because their control is just very low cooldown. Their spells don't need that much time. Straight into the Roche they go. They've got the damage, they've got the Exo running. There's no counterfight coming out from Army Geniuses in this case. They need a lot more protection. Wami is working towards a Lotus. Some Dispel on hand is going to be massively helpful. But it does feel like you're going to need BKBs in this game. You've got the BKB running on Azura. You need to protect the Void. It sounds a bit funny, but Narman needs to be able to get off those big Chronos that he's been lining up. The side of Lilgun have been grouping up, but they've just been able to stop Narman in his tracks every time. And that would take something like a BKB, but a BKB on a support Void with no farming items is optimistic, to say the least. So let's see how they work this one out. Smoke out from AG into the Aegis here.
Pretty tough. They've got a BKB on Azura now, so I think they're just trying to play off that. Seems like a bit of a desperate smoke, but they just want that mid-tier 1 tower so desperately. They know Exorcism's down as well, so at least you don't have to worry about that. That'll be the mid-tier 1 tower to drop his call down. Is there Ace 12? He will avoid it. Azura jumping right in. Has to be careful though, but he has that BKB, but it won't matter. Oh, he's down. Onto DB. The Leshrac completely controlled up, trying to heal up through all of this. Is going to be able to fight back. In fact, Sanctity, he's the one on the run. On that Tiny, he is melting. Meanwhile, Narman, he might drop. There goes the Aegis on that Tiny. There's Kishka still going, still trying to delay this team fight. Will drop, and so will 4-2-3. Barish, able to take both for himself on the gyrocopter. So in the end, a pretty darn good team fight for AG.
Yeah, it works out. They sacrifice Azura. You know, he runs forward, doesn't turn on his BKB preemptively, gets punished for that. But Lilgun kind of take a very scattered fight. They aren't able to connect their silences together. They get brought apart, and Army Genius just manages to split that fight up very nicely. DB just chasing down the Tiny, ensuring that the Aegis burns, ensuring that Sanctity won't feel too comfy on his second life to come back in. And they've got a lot of damage coming out from Varish. He does have the shard up on the Gyrocopter, so max out Rocket Barrage. Rocket Barrage and Homing Missile is pretty damn big. That is something Lilgun will want to watch out for. We need those defensive items
DB,
up now.
That's very deep from DB. On the Leshrac, he's gone. Oh, that's a very deep position. He'll get tipped by 11. They know he was way out of position for that creep wave. Lilgun, they punish very heavily.
They find a nice kill to kind of offset that earlier fight. And DB's really going to want BKB of his own. Like, BKBs for both sides is going to be the next build-up that we're likely to see. Except for Wami, probably doesn't need it. Is working towards a pipe, which will help massively. Grouping up for the push down bot. Lilgun, they can still melt its objectives if they're left alone here.
Do you get worried for AG as well? Like, going into this POS 1 Tiny, it feels like Lilgun is going to be able to slowly outscale the side of AG. This timing of AG with this kind of draft, it feels like it's kind of been missed here. They're 4K net worth behind, and we've seen how strong Tiny gets as the game does continue. Sure, you've got infinite scaling in a sense, because you've got, you know, essentially 5 cores on the side of AG. You're going to have Chrono all the time on Narman, but it hasn't proven to be the most effective spell usage quite yet this game. I'm just not sure what to think about it, John.
They have some scaling out from Army Geniuses. It is very reliant on how DB positions himself. Like, once he has a BKB, late game build, you could try the Octarine, you could go for the shards, maybe the Ags. I think Nihilism has a lot of value here. If you do manage to jump in before the BKB use, or, you know, once BKBs fade, you should be able to get a good disarm and just kind of melt all these heroes with the protection you have from the Timb and from your own BKB. But that's assuming a lot of back and forth factors. I think for AG to leverage their Chronosphere in this game is just super difficult. Narman has not had an easy time lining up Chronos. It's just so much control, so much silences, and he's not going to have his own BKB, if ever, unless this game drags on for another 20. So Lilgun will always have the edge there, but I think you can rely on DB, and to a certain extent rely on Azura. It's just that the initial BKBs, when they do come out for both sides, it will feel a lot better for Lilgun.
DB, he'll take down the top tier 2 tower. Bottom tier 2 is also going to drop by the looks of it. Lilgun, they are not really backing off. Leave 11 there on the Dragon Knight to get that job done. AG not going to try and TP back to force a defense. They're happy with the trade for now. Just a nice even trade between the two teams. DB back to the top of the net worth board on the left rack, so he's happy. Just needs to be able to survive throughout these engagements. Especially with this Bloodstone up. Like, you see how fast DB can just regen that mana with the Blood Pact, and just needs to be able to be tanky enough to just keep going. Just let that Pulse Nova run forever. That's why he builds into the Shiver's Guard. Bonus armor against the Broodmother, the Tiny, always going to feel good, and of course even the Active going to be very effective in the middle of these team fights. And against just those Spiderlings, just farming all that free gold away. Meanwhile, Lilgun, they are sitting back and relaxing. They're just trying to buy more time for Sanctity. He has got a Silver Edge up, so he's going to try working in towards those shards now, and so he probably will need a BKB of his own as well, so he can just freely hit away. And there you go. There's the BKB up. Time to build up some shards.
His output's really reaching its peak now. Inside of AG, well, with the BKBs up, triple BKBs on all of these cores from Lilgun, their game becomes a lot harder. It does rely on Narman actually catching them out before BKBs fly open, which again is easier said than done. And Lilgun will go for their own smoke play here. And with 3 BKBs, there's really not much to stop them.
Mid lane, Lilgun, they will hang around. The Spiderlings scattered everywhere trying to get vision of where AG are at the moment. And they'll spot them now. Wami and Varish have been scouted. Instead, Lilgun, they are running directly north. They might run right into the POS 1 left rack of DB. Sanctity. Oh, I don't think he saw him. 11? No, never mind. They know he's somewhere. DB? Oh my, he's actually going to avoid them. Oh, they don't walk towards the left. He wasn't even hiding behind the tree line. He was just within the fog.
Oh boy. Really playing on edge there. Wasted smoke out from Lilgun, but they do get repositioned onto the upper area of the triangle. Kind of hanging around that tier 1 top, which they can melt just easily. Still wrapping around towards Wami here though.
They are. Wami. Still fine. Has the Lotus top as well as the Pipe of Insight, so he's a very tanky boy at the moment. Won't be able to abuse that silence too much against Wami anymore. CG, they'll buy a bit more time for DB to just finish off that Shiver's Guard. You know what, AG, I mean, considering the state of the game that was 10 minutes ago, they are doing a pretty darn good job of delaying this one out. Lilgun, they do seem supremely confident in Sanctity to just carry them through this game on this POS 1 Tiny, but you can't be 100% sure of that. You know, it's still a pretty decent draft here from AG that can scale pretty effectively on their own side of things, and it's just not going to be that easy of a victory if Lilgun aren't too careful.
Yeah, and this game still can get tough. I mean, you are still seeing that build-up come out here for AG. Full Kaya Sanj up for Azura, so holding him down is going to be slightly tougher. You've got, you know, a lot of durability coming out from Wami. I mean, they haven't been able to play around this triple BKB on Lilgun, which is both a blessing and a curse, because you're sitting there, you're farming, the BKBs don't do much for you there. At the same time, you've got the threat of the full 9-second BKB just ready to go. So even if AG were the ones to dictate the next few fights, having to deal with 9 seconds of spell muty with a Storm, with a Leshrac on your side, and a Timbersaw on your side, it just doesn't feel great. I do like that DB is going for the Ags. Again, Nihilism has a lot of value here for the Leshrac, although the BKBs ruin that, right? So you do want to force BKB usages out from Lilgun, drop that duration down to 6 seconds, and then just kind of weave your way in and out of those fights if you are DB. The defensive capability is nice, but the offensive, it feels like it's something that AG will have to rely on as well.
Absolutely. Mid lane. Wami going to show himself, but is fine to back off. Funny thing, John, I keep making the comment that Lilgun's ahead, but if you look at Dota Plus right now, 62% win rate the way of AG, so Gaben seems to believe it's the other way around.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this POS 1 Tiny is still growing pretty damn big. Shards are still yet to come out here for Sanctity, but his damage output's already up there. Smoke out from AG. We'll see if they can manage to make it work. I mean, if Narman lands a big chrono before BKBs fly on, that could be a big win.
Rish He'll be on the front lines. Wards are out. This is a decent position for AG to try and force a fight. The Sanctity does break the smoke. Sentries do go down around the Roshan pit. Lilgun have successfully avoided the gank attempt so far, though Narman, he'll get silenced up. There goes your Chrono. He does have buyback, and he will respawn in 30. But now the gank, it's not going to work out for AG. They'll just take the outpost instead, try to set themselves up for the next Roshan.
Still kind of clumped up here.
You've got to wait for that Void. Roshan's up in 17 seconds anyway, so he's going to respawn in time. Sanctity does not want to wait. He does jump in very early with the BKB, but now he won't have it for the next team fight, and DB knows this. He'll move in right away onto Kishka. That's going to be the DP gone. As Ace 12, he will be up next. Buybacks are immediate, but this is not the fight they wanted. Sanctity, he's going to be stunned up, slowed down, perma-stunned in fact, as DB will take him. Triple kill for the Leshrac. In fact, they just keep going. They found 11 on the Dragon Knight. He'll go for a TP out. Can we get a bash from Narman? Not quite.
Oh.
No bash out. But they are into the Roshan pit, and that's much more important. And Sanctity, that was a very aggressive jump in. I'm not sure why he went that early. You would have rather saved the BKB for the Roshan fight, I think.
And that's the big one. Azura just comes in, forces the BKB use. AG has to do that on a lot of these cores, but once those BKBs are expended, you've got massive openings. I don't think we ever actually saw the BKB use of 11, so he managed to hold on to his. You did pop it on 423 a bit early as well. Like, if you get baited into removing that spell immunity, the Leshrac has free reign. He just needs to wait 9 seconds, and now 8 seconds, and you just jump in. Narman, I mean, it was a bit optimistic for him to walk down from that ramp. He does get punished. I do love that, you know, every time Lilgun kills Narman, they've got a voice chat ready. They've got a voice line ready for him, just because, you know, it's 5 Mongolians versus the 1 Mongolian who went to Southeast Asia. So Narman's going to be copping it with his friends, of course, as they are all friendly. The Mongolian community is all very tight-knit. Still, this game is also very tight, like 15-15, less than 1k lead, AG managing to pull ahead. And this is all off the back of not even having the threat of Chrono. So just the psychological damage that Narman's presence does, because they have to prioritize Void. It is enough. Like, we talked about them making a choice between controlling Storm or Void. They have been choosing Narman. And that does free it up a little bit more for the other cores.
Stun. Oh, that's a quick Lotus Sword from Wami. Still, they silence him up, but do they have the damage? Not quite yet. Ace 12 in the meantime does go down to Azura. Kishka, he's in trouble. On the DP, trying to run, but will not make it out. And now the Chrono. Narman, not going to allow 11 to get out of there. There's your Chrono. 11, he'll have to run the old-fashioned way, but it is not going to work out. 3 down for Lilgun. And AG, they may just march right through the mid lane here. They've got the Aegis up anyway.
Oh, I love this game, man. I love this game so much, Narman. He doesn't need the big Chronos. He just needs to stop the BKB TPs. And, he can't bash. He's a support Void. Level 2 time lock, 16% chance. Just go for the TP cancellation. He might catch Sanctity, too.
They may. Sanctity, he's in big trouble. He's going to pop the BKB, try for the TP out, and they should not have the damage, and they won't. Woo! Sanctity, at least getting Narman and getting out of there. You know, John, that's a good point. Is that the idea with the support Void? Like, you've got this crazy magical draft going on. Chrono lasts 5 seconds at max level. Is that the idea? Just waste the full duration of the BKB with a Chrono and then just let DB get to work.
Yeah, I think that's one of it, right? Like, the main thing is you're forcing a lot of this to jump in onto the Void first, because you really don't want to deal with Chrono. Your lineup on Lilgun's not drafted to deal with a Void or that control. You don't have saves in the Chrono. And it's that other factor. It's like you have a way of just nullifying BKBs in a very strange way, and it's not like Narman finds all the best angles, so I don't think we've seen that to too much great effect outside of that one Chrono on 11. But it gives them that option to play that way. As long as Lilgun clumps up a bit too hard, Narman's there to punish. And as long as Narman's there, they have to jump in first.
And there he is. Onto the Skywrath. Ace 12 is gone. 4-2-3 forced the BKB up just to run away, but now they might go high ground. Knowing the BKB isn't available, it seems like AG are finally feeling themselves here in this game number 1. And they should go high. I mean, they've got a minute and a half on the Aegis still.
This is just madness. You have this tiny Sanctity so farmed up, and it just doesn't feel like he can handle them.
He certainly can't
He's
right now,
just
John.
forced to play tag.
Silence out, onto 3 targets. AG, they will not flinch. T3 mid tower, gonna be in danger here. Army Geniuses not looking to back off yet. Lilgun have to move in and they will try. Azura, he's gonna force another BKB out from Sanctity. And now you can really keep going. Call down, it's there on Kishka. That might be a dieback on the Death Prophet, and it will be. That's Kishka gone for 45. It might be a mid-rax to come here for Army Geniuses unless Lilgun can find a way to try and defend this. It's just so hard with this permanent split earth going on here from DB. And he's just still so healthy. Age is still intact. BKB is still available. How do you deal with the Leshrac?
They need to jump, but with a couple of BKBs on cooldown, that's extra tough. They just pop it preemptively. 11 could try for the blink play, but his blink's just constantly knocked off. They do still have to fortify. They can hold themselves up against this at least. When another creep wave is coming in, the backdoor should be taken off. And they've created this ideal scenario for DB in this game. Just again, jumping in, forcing early BKBs, ensuring the Lesh is not under threat. They actually take the racks first, up against a lineup with DP, DK, and Broodmother. They take the first racks.
Wow. The 5-man smoke immediately here from Lilgun wanting to try and punish. Aegis is going to expire in 10 seconds, so the timing's not bad. Problem is they're fighting into Chrono, and they might have the low ground disadvantage here. The AG may not be suspecting this. They'll go back towards the north, the top lane. They're sneaking up right from the backside. Wami on the front lines. Aeon Disc is procced. They found Azura, but he's going to zip away, and now the turnaround. They'll go for the team fight. Onto the Dragon Knight. 11 is melting. Might just drop as they chase him down. It seems like Lilgun, they don't want this fight anymore. 4-2-3 tries to back off. Wami, he'll find Kishka. In goes Narman. He's got the Chrono on the Broodmother. In goes Sanctity. He'll find Narman's life, but it'll be for 4-2-3. It's not the trade they wanted on Lilgun. It's not the smoke they wanted on Lilgun. And it might be time for another high ground defense for Lilgun as well, John, because there's 2 heroes down without buyback.
I mean, AG, they're really dancing around this game very nicely. I mean, that's a good flank out from Sanctity towards the end there. He still has his BKB ready to go. It is down to 6 seconds. And they've got to find a way to stop DB here. No threat of Aegis, no threat of Chrono, even with a respawn on Narman. So they can try to do something with the blink forward, but they're just going to lose one other set of racks. The push is too quick coming out from DB. They've got doubled siege creep. They've got Lesh.
Mystic Flare out. Wami, he's going to cop a fair bit of damage, but is still fine. As now the zip back in. Azura, he found Sanctity. Oh, there's no buyback on the Tiny either. They could maybe just go Megas. What did he buy? He bought a Hyperstone.
Yeah, he's trying to go for a Moon Shard consumption into another Moon Shard, just going all in on the attack speed. They can't point Mega. Tier 2 still stands bot. So the side of AG is going to have to just be satisfied. Our tier 3 down bot is under threat from double siege creep as well. And I believe that should be defended by Varish, but damage seems to be done already. Tower doesn't have too much long left. A minute until the full Rosh on, or until we see the timer back on Rosh. Lilgun, and their backs are kind of against the wall. 2 racks down. A lot of momentum coming out from Army Geniuses end. They're getting more durable on DB. This build-up from all the heroes on RM Geniuses is just spectacular. Azura going for the Aeon Disc, understanding that they're going to pop him with silence, and then he just dispels it off to zip around, pump his BKB, and go back in. It's a great choice. And he's going for the Ags next, just more control coming out from the Storm. The Lotus Orb usage from Wami has been fantastic. His BKB is still fresh here as well. He's going to have a long duration in the middle of that next fight. And I think Narman, and despite some of the jokes we were making about him, he's been highly effective because overall, Lilgun has to kill him first. They really do have to focus him first, and that provides so much space in the middle of these fights. Like, unbelievable amounts of space for DB and Azura to just do what they need to do. So even if this Chrono never comes out, it's great.
It is actually a very smart support Void pick, because you kind of pointed this out earlier, John, but it's the mental games. Right? You just said it. You have to kill the Void. Whether you like it or not, he has to die at the start of the team fight. And the thing is, you expend everything to try and kill him, and if you don't, through the BKBs, he's just gonna pop Chrono every time and just waste the whole duration. It's actually a very clever support Void kind of game to have.
Would you want to see this in your pub, Sam Mike? Is this something you'll try?
No, I don't. Thank you very much. Unless your name is Red Panda or Narman, I don't want to see it.
It's fair enough. The side of Lilgun, it's not exactly an impossible game, but it doesn't feel like they've been executing around their lineup, right? They're allowing AG to kind of do what they want to. And now Roche is up. AG's right on it. There's no wards here from Lilgun. They've been dewarded on their entire top jungle area. And that's going to be Roche with Cheese and Refresh Shard. So, wondering who to hand that over to. If Azura had his Ags up, I'd say the refresh on Azura's big. Doesn't quite have it. He will pick it up for now. Doesn't have the inventory space. We'll give the cheese out to Wami. So refresh on Azura. Ags is done, I believe, or at least he's flying out to kind of set up for the last part of his ad. No, it is fully done. So double Vortex AoE. That's even more control. You don't even need the Void now for that hold as long as the BKBs are down.
Yeah, this is where things get very scary now, Lilgun. It just doesn't feel like they've got the answers in this game, one, to try and fight back. Dota Plus is at 98% now in the favor of AG. We'll see what Lilgun can do, but it really doesn't feel like they've got the answers. They're going to try and move out of the base, maybe go for a surprise team fight on the low ground in that tree line. They are going to try one last time. Lilgun, no, they're spotted. Narman, he'll jump in. DB, he was the one to go in as well. Buyback is there from Narman. He'll rejoin the team fight. Lilgun, they at least find the Leshrac the first time, but Azura, he'll make the jump in with the Aghanim Scepter with the double pullback onto 423 in the refresh. He'll find another. Too many black holes out. There's 2 down for Lilgun. Kishka, he'll keep going on the DP, but there's no way he can make anything work here. As Wami will chase him down, and towards the south they've got Sanctity. On that Tiny, he'll try to run, but Azura's holding him down. The Tiny's gone. That's it, GG's called. What a performance out from AG, and what a draft from AG, John. I didn't get it when we saw the draft first, but as you saw it play out, it was actually very clever.
I don't know what to say. I mean, Narman pause for Void. Look, his contribution